Hello and welcome. I'm Karjan, and this is Let's Art Operation Blinking Mirror Edition. Um, so, getting closer to having these lines finished. I accidentally said last time that as soon as I get these last four figures inked, that it would be done. Well, that's not quite true. I still need to do the tree and the background trees, but it's closer to being finished. So, let's get... Oops. Let's get, oh. Clicking on the wrong layers. Was a little bit worried there for a moment, but just clicking on the wrong layers. And that's technically why I should name my layers properly, but I feel too lazy to do so. Let's see here. Need to erase this so that I can properly draw it. Because the ties go down a lot more than... Okay. And now we zoom in really close. Too big. There we go. So that we can give it a proper color. And let's clean this out as well while we're down here in this zoom level. Just do a bit of touching up. And then this needs to be cleaned out. This needs to be erased. So I'm not entirely sure, as per usual, what to talk about this episode, because quite frankly, after taking the time to make sure my throat was no longer about to kill me from everything, from all the talking I'd been doing. It is now 4 a.m. I'm a bit tired. And just finished off some honey tea to make my throat feel a little bit better. Which I guess I did not, did not finish it off quickly enough, or didn't stir it enough, because all the honey fell to the bottom, leaving the last few swallows far too sweet for my taste. But, oh well. Okay. Go back out. Back in. So I can deal with this properly. And like this. In. Things to talk about. Because I'm just doing the same thing over and over and over again. Yes, I'm a stellar example of the ability to talk on a dime about random things, especially when I'm focusing. Get this cleaned up in here. Awkward silences go. So, maybe if I say that enough, something will come to me. I'm not really holding out any hope, though. I guess I'm usually much quieter than people really expect me to be, I guess. Especially if they've met me online where I can type and deal with everything just through typing. If that's the case, I usually don't shut up because, well, typing is so much easier than talking. Especially for an introvert, because that typing gives us a moment to what? Oh, okay, that's background. And that's why I really shouldn't be using the same colors for everything, because it gets really confusing when I try to figure out what's going on. But I am, on occasion, now more than just occasion, lazy, and prefer to take generally the easy way out for many things. Okay, this is the side. So, yes. This needs to be bit. So we can get sort of a little bit of indication of pause here. Flip it up for a little bit of a thumb and erase that out. Like that. I wasn't even touching the screen, and it decided to phantom click. Whoops. Sometimes I want to consider the tablet just a little bit too sensitive to things, but only occasionally. Turn this off so I can see. Okay. That helps to know where everything is. Up. I like nice flowing curves. Nice flowing curves. It's more pleasing on my eye. And so clean this out just a little bit. This, I don't like this. Yeah, I don't like this. Erase this back out. When you're doing something like that, you really need to keep in mind what the shape that you want is, because if you take a moment and look at that, you'll notice there's really no shape, not much of any shape at all, because everything is just smeared together so dramatically. Whoops. So, it's definitely not, if you start doing something like that, you really have to make sure that you finish the gesture, finish the piece that you've just basically scribbled all over before you set the piece of artwork down. Because I can guarantee you that the next time you come back to it, you're not going to remember what you were doing. It's just like when working with much of anything, really, but especially something like code, which I have previously mentioned enjoying working on. You really shouldn't leave in mid-thought, because if you do, you're going to lose that thought. And if you lose that thought, there's no guarantee that you will ever get it back. If you do have to leave in the middle of a piece of code, a piece of artwork and you're in the process of changing something, always make sure that you write down what you should be doing next. It makes things so much easier to get back into if you have a record somewhere of what you're supposed to be doing next. At least what your previous self thought you should be doing next. And for the love of dog, if you're doing coding, comment the stupid program properly. Comments make everything better. Well, they can't make your code work, so they can't literally fix everything. But comments in code mean that you or the next person who comes along to work on the piece, but probably yourself, much more likely if you come back to the program a month later, likely to be able to pick up the code and continue working on it. And the same thing's true with a piece of art. You never know when real life is going to decide to kick you in the pants and say, nope, you can't work on this for the next, month or two. So if you leave some sort of record of what you needed to be doing next, you'll be able to get back into it much quicker. It's advice that I don't always take. In fact, I very rarely take, except for the code commenting. But that's mostly because a significant portion of my art is done very easily and very quickly within a set time frame of usually a day or two. Something like this is very much the exception. This is one of the largest pieces of artwork I've ever done, and probably will ever do, if I'm being honest. Although that may change if I keep doing more of these. The whole purpose originally of doing this was, I don't really care, I guess, if anyone really watches this. It'd be nice. But it's kind of a twofold reason for me recording art and talking about random stuff while I do art. Sometimes art related, very often not. Is frankly because if I do this, it gives me incentive to continue, to finish something. Not just continue, but to finish something. But it also gets me talking, and as I've already mentioned quite often in this, I don't really talk that much in real life. So part of this whole thing is, you know, maybe I can get more accustomed to talking. And if I get more accustomed to talking, maybe I'll talk more. So that I can actually speak up during family dinners and the like, instead of just sitting around and listening to everyone. Okay, there's Miku Miku. I believe I managed to get everything. Yep, it looks like it. So that was actually really quick considering the rest. It was 10 minutes faster. I guess I'll start in Meku Meku. Since I've still got time left in this recording. And I was wrong. I initially said that Meku Meku was the silent one. No, it's actually the one with the blue cape who's the mostly silent one. Meku Meku's smiling a lot, which kind of puts me in mind of, you know, axe murderer sort of thing. Because, you know, these eyes aren't soulless enough. Okay. Let's get this. Six is too large. 3 should do. Okay, there's that. That's too large. 2. And then strengthen those back up. There we go. Just clear this out a little bit more while we're this close in. Okay. Zoom back in. We just keep on keeping on. Oops. Let's get this back to a decent size. Yeah, I still erased too much over there, but let's get this pulled in a little bit. Put that back. So that and are probably some of my favorite words in this recording. Well, and in all of these recordings. I really do hope that the purpose of Operation Blinking Mirror is served, that Konami realizes that there is interest, and that they actually agree to publish more games in this series. It would be very nice. It would be nice to say I was part of something that convinced a company to bring back something that, you know, I really liked. Because I really want to know the end of the story, and I really want to know what the rest of the true runes are. So we've only got, I think, 17 thereabouts. We only know about 17 of the 27 true runes. We don't know what the actual finale sort of thing is supposed to be. Of course, we don't know if the developers themselves know what the actual finale is supposed to be. I mean, who knows? They could just be playing it by ear at this point. They probably are. Suikoden 3 brings up some interesting points about the true runes, about how they're basically that the runes themselves have sort of a free will. For certain values of free will. Basically, they want to be used, and it brings up what happens when they don't get used the way they want to be. Which I thought was kind of cool. It also brings up the fact that, you know, maybe you really don't want to be a true rune bearer. Despite the fact that the true rune bearers of the first two games, not that I knew this at the time that I first played Suikoden 1. Or Suikoden 3, rather. The true rune bearers of the first two games are actually, in my opinion, much less well off than the rune bearers in the third. Seeing as the runes that are focused on in the third game are the elemental runes, so you do have the really bad ones like the rune of fire, which is mentioned to have basically blown a giant crater into the grasslands because the rune got pissed off that it wasn't being used and utterly destroyed 2 armies. That's not exactly a glowing recommendation of getting one of these things. And yet, despite that, countries wage huge wars over these things. Absolutely huge wars. I mean, yes, godlike powers and immortality. But you have to wonder exactly how much free will you really have when you've got something like that attached to you. I would bet not quite as much as you'd want to believe. I don't think I'd want to be a rune bearer. Well, a true rune bearer. I mean, having the little runes, like Flick's lightning rune, or the much more powerful thunder rune that you eventually give him because, well, he's Blue Lightning Flick. Why would you give him any rune other than lightning? And then its advanced form Thunder as soon as you get access to the Thunder rune. Oh. Almost got this one the way I like it. Bushy tails, bushy tails. And then of course you've got the special runes like the various hawk runes, falcon runes, the weapon related runes that many of the special warriors have. Those runes are kind of cool too. They let you do special actions. Or Stellion's well, the English translation is True Holy, but it's not a true rune. It's a I forget what the better translation of its name is. But it's a rune that allows you to run really, really fast. Stellion's comments is that he can run from anything. So yeah, all in all, I think it would kind of be cool to live in the Suikoden world. Certain things aside. But I also think I would try with all my heart to not draw the attention of any of the true runes. Ever. Ever. It's just far too much trouble. Especially if it's one of the true runes, like the rune of punishment, or the rune of life and death, otherwise known as Soul Eater. Because, you know, there's just something about knowing that all of your closest companions are going to die in horrible ways, and then their souls are going to be absorbed into the rune on your hand so that they can never be reborn. Or something to that effect. Okay. Yeah, that looks like that gets Meku. Meku. Well, sort of. Let's alter his foot down so that it's actually sitting. It's actually resting on. There we go. Okay. 2 squirrels down. One squirrel and Nina left. So with that, I'm going to call this finished, and I will see you next video.